In this lesson, I'm going to demonstrate the multimedia concepts in Python. So in other words, we'll take a look at how to import or create an audio wave file or any sound, in fact, in Python. So when you write in Python, basically you're programming. There are times when you need to input sound. For example, if you were to open up a box or your canvas area, a sound should play in the background. Similarly, you can in fact create music and have Python play that music as well. So if you're programming for a website, for instance, you would want Python to open up a certain file and engage your audience with a little bit of music. So in this tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate two things. First, how to use an existing WAV file and have Python play it. And second part of this tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how to record using Python. So you can record your own WAV files as well. So let's begin this tutorial by first demonstrating how Python plays a WAV file. So I'm going to go ahead and first, of course, put a comment here so we know. I'm going to say make Python play a WAV file or a sound file. Let me go ahead and save this. I'm going to call it sound.py, and I'm going to go ahead and import my Pi audio. It's just a module that you can install, and also import the wave. These two modules tell Python that next we're going to be working with some sound elements. I'm also going to define the chunk byte size, so it'll be chunk equals 1024, and then my variable wf equals wave.open, and of course I need the name of the wave file that I like Python to play. In order to do this, obviously I need it saved in the Python's folder, because that's how by default Python is going to open that up and play it. So I already have a file name saved called applause2_x.wave. And again, you can use play at any file, right? So you can have the entire song, for instance, or any multimedia elements that you wish to play as a WAV file. Once I'm done, specify my p as Pi audio dot Pi audio. Next, I'm going to do the stream. So I'm going to tell Python to stream equals p dot root, not root. I'm going to open it, in fact. And what do I want Python to open? Okay, so I'm going to have format equals p dot get underscore format from, and I'm just writing this up so it's easier to follow. Width is going to be wf dot get sample width or samp width, and put a comma. Next, define my channels equals wf dot get channel. So it's basically channels, and then we put a value of wf dot get channels method, and our output, or before our output, I'm going to set the rate to. So our rate is going to be wf dot get frame rate, comma. I need to place a comma up here also. And then finally the output that I wish Python to do, which will be true. And then close my parentheses, which corresponds to the stream. Okay, once I'm done this, I need to tell Python the data, which in this instance will be wf dot read the frame, and of course make sure it's using the chunk, and then just do a while loop. So while data is a set of quotations, colon, and I want Python to stream it. So stream dot write the data, and then data would equal wf dot read frame, and then the chunk. Now once I'm done, I just need to simply close the stream and then terminate. Great. So just a simple program, in fact, but importantly, you could create or open any WAV file or any audio file that you need to play in Python. So let's go ahead and save this and run it. Let's go to line 11, see what's going on at line 11. What do we do? So this method is wf.getChannels. So I'm going to say it's actually, in fact, n channels. So we'll make a correction. Let's run it one more time. Let's go to line 14. Same thing with read frame. It's actually read frames. Let's run it again. Same thing with stream write data. It's actually not Steam. Just some simple spelling errors and syntax. Save it, run it again. Let's go to 18. Same thing, read frames with an S. Run it again. That's a nice applause. Okay, so this way you can in fact make sure that Python plays any file. If I were to run it again, you may hear a little applause in the background. Okay, next I'm going to demonstrate how Python records it. So in other words, as I'm speaking, what if I would like Python to record and save my recording as a WAV file? So let's go ahead and, in fact, let me demonstrate this. So I'm going to open up a new file here and begin with a comment. So here I'm going to create a WAV file and have Python record it. Go ahead and save it quickly. So I'm going to say record1.py. And next, quickly go ahead and import our PyAudio and import the WAV as well. Let's define some format, some channels, rate, and our chunk and the number of seconds that we wish to record. So Python needs to know all these variables, right? So let's go ahead and do the variables. So it'll be format equals PyAudio dot PAINT 16. My channels would be 2 channels because I want to hear from both channels of the audio. The rate of this particular sound is 44,100 megahertz, which is pretty standard. And my chunk equals 1024. Now the number of seconds that I wish Python to record, I can say record seconds, and this would equal, again, for 5 seconds, 2, 3, 10, 20, half hour. It's really up to you. So I'm just going to go ahead and make it brief. So Python is going to record the sound, my voice, for 5 seconds. And next I'm going to specify the output file. So the output file name, and this would equal, you can give it any name, right? So you can say like file.wav. Next I'm going to say audio equals PyAudio dot PyAudio parentheses. And once we've specified the structure, next we're going to tell Python to actually start the recording process, right? So we've defined the variables as to the elements or factors what we want Python to use. So here I'm just going to put a comment here, start recording, and let's go ahead and tell Python to stream equals audio and open the format equals the format. And the reason why I use the uppercase and lowercase, so we can easily distinguish, right? So we don't get confused with format equals format. So therefore I use the uppercases above. And then set my channels equals to channels, and then my rate equals rate, and input is set to true. Also set my frames per buffer, so it'll be frames per buffer equals to the chunk size, which is 1024. And once that's done, I would also like Python to let me know that it's recording, right? So I'm just going to do a simple message here, recording ... and then my frames. So once that's done, of course, I need to do a loop now, right? I need to tell Python to loop it. So just a simple for loop here. So for I in range, and my range is going to be 0, int, and then of course rate over chunk times the record seconds, right? So it'll be record underscore seconds. And then what do I want in this loop? I like to have the data to stream. So data equals stream dot read the chunk size. Then also use the append method for the frames. So I'm going to use the frames dot append the data. And once again, have Python print out the finished recording message, so we know it looks nicer to have the user view the finished recording. So just a simple message that's going to display and says after 5 seconds it's going to say finished recording. All right, let me scroll down here. And of course we need to also tell Python how to stop recording. There's a comment, so I'm going to say stream dot stop underscore stream, and then I'm going to close it. So I'm going to close the stream.close. And then once I do this, I need to make sure my audio is also closed or terminated, right? So I'm going to use the terminate. Now once that's done, I need to specify the various methods such as the set channel, the width, the frame rate, and finally the write frames as well. So this will go with our WAV file. So I'm just going to say WAV file equals wave.open, and it's going to open up the WAV output file name and then our WB. Next, just do the WAV file dot set channels, and this will be channels one more time within a set of parentheses. Next, I'm going to do the WAV file dot set samp width, and this will be our audio dot get sample size from our format. I'm also going to specify the frame rate, right? So I'm going to say WAV file dot set frame rate to rate, and then have our WAV file dot write frames. So just going to do a WAV file dot write frames. I'm going to write it to B and then join it, right? So I'm going to say join the frames. Perfect. And finally just close it. So WAV file dot close. Great. So making sure, one more time, let me scroll up. Here's our specifications. We're telling Python what to do. Then we begin our start recording process. It's going to record for 5 seconds and it's going to stop automatically. And it's going to generate a WAV file, and that WAV file is going to be called, and we have our name up here somewhere, it's going to be called file.wav, and it's going to save it into our folder. So let me go ahead and save this and let's execute this. Let's check line 19. It says frames. Of course, I need to put equal signs here. Let's try again. And let's check our syntax in line 3. So it's not import wave, it's in fact wave with an E. Great. Just silly mistakes here. So once we have corrected the syntax, let's save it, run it again. And print is not defined in line 18. Let's take a look at. And the reason why is, of course, we need to make sure it's not capitalized. Otherwise, Python doesn't recognize what to do. Let's go ahead, try it one more time, and now it's recording. So as I speak for 5 seconds, it's going to record and stop. And let's make sure our stop stream is correct before we check our recording. So line 27, because it records fine. So it starts the recording process, and then it terminates at line 27. And let's see what's wrong with line 27. Of course, it's not Steam, right? So it'll be stream. That'd be better if I can take a spelling class, guys. All right, so let's save it one more time. Let's run it again. This time it is going to record for 5 seconds. So let's go ahead, and before we check, let's take a look at the wave.py. Let me bring up my Windows Explorer here, so take a look at the file. So it does create the file. We can see it created the file.wave. Before I play it, I'm going to go ahead and save it one more time and execute it again. So once again, it starts the recording process and it is going to record for 5 seconds. And this time, after we save the file, it finishes the recording. In order to test whether Python in fact did create the file.wave file, let's check it out. So let's go to our Windows Explorer. Let me go ahead and refresh this. Here's our file.wave. Let me go ahead and open it. So once again, start the recording process. Perfect. So as I play it in the media player, notice Python records my voice perfectly fine. And again, based on the specifications that I've provided in terms of frame rate, frame size, the chunk, and so on. If I were to play it again. So once again, start the recording process. Perfect. So this way you can record your own voice or any other sound or music and then output it to an audio file in Python. So I hope this helps. Practice playing sounds in Python and obviously recording in Python as well. And let's move to the next lesson.